Good morning, children, and welcome to the class. This is class 7th, subject Social Science, chapter number 4, History, the Mughal Empire. As we have already completed two of the lectures from this chapter, in which basically we covered the topics Emperors of Mughal Empire, Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shahjahan, Aurangzeb. The timeline of Mughal Empire we have done, about Jamidars we have done. Today, some other topics we will be covering in this lecture number 3. Basically, today we will learn about the great emperor of Mughal Empire, Akbar the Great. Different policies that he adopted. So the topics to be discussed in today's lecture are Akbarnama and Aine-Akbari. What are these two? Akbar's administration policies. What type of administration was present there in Akbar's time? They are in the court or in empire. Ibadat Khana. What was Ibadat Khana? Then Mughal Empire in 17th century and later. What was the reasons that was declined there in 17th century and later. So these are the topics that we will be covering in today's lecture. First, Akbarnama and Aine-Akbari. Akbarnama is basically a book written by Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl was one of the courtier there in Akbar's court. Akbar ordered him to write history of his time period. So, he wrote the book named Akbarnama. Abul Fazl wrote Akbarnama in 3 volumes, means 3 parts were there, and how he had divided these. The first volume, it is about Akbar's ancestors. In first volume of Akbarnama, basically Abul Fazl wrote about ancestors of Akbar, like Babur, Humayun. Ancestor means oneself, Purva, sorry. So he wrote about Akbar's ancestor there in first volume. Then second volume recorded the events of Akbar's reign. What were the different happenings or events there in Akbar's reign or Akbar's time period? They were collected or they were recorded there in second volume. Then the third volume, it is Aine-Akbari, that tells about Akbar's administration, army and the revenue. About revenue, we have already covered about Jamidars, Jagirdars. So, Aine-Akbari, it tells about the administration, army, the revenue. It also gives us cultural details and statistic on crops, prices and yield. Means the crops detail, if you remember, we talked about Todermal, the revenue officer of Akbar there in his court, who collected data on the crops, prices, yield means production for the 10 years, and according to that they fixed the taxes. And one thing I want to tell you, that there in Akbar's court, the 9 people were there, the faithful people of Akbar, and they were known as Navratan of Akbar's court, or 9 jewels you can say. They were famous as 9 jewels of Akbar's court, in which Abul Fazl, Todermal, Tansen, Birbal, these are included. So, In Akbar's court, there were 9 jewels famous. Those were really talented or the faithful people for Akbar. So this is all about, we talked here, Abul Fazl's book in which he wrote about Akbar's time period. 3 volumes it was having. The first volume that consisting Akbar's ancestor, the second one the events of Akbar's time period, and third about Akbar's administration, army, revenue, crops, production, prices. All these things were included there in third volume by Abul Fazl. Now, the next is Akbar's administration policies. What policies he adopted and who were the officers or different assigned people, those had been given different work there by the ruler. So if we talk about administration of Akbar was discussed by Abul Fazl in his book Akbarnama also, and particularly in last volume Ain-e-Akbari, as we talked about just now, that administration that was there, that was detailed or registered there in the last volume. Empire was divided into provinces known as subas. The complete empire, it was divided into provinces, and those provinces were known as subas at that time. Then subas were governed by subedars, means the person, military officer, or military as well as the political affairs he was watching. He was the in charge for political as well as military affairs or military functions. So subas were governed by subedars. Those who were having the in charge of political and military functions. Then subedars were supported by military paymasters. They were known as Baksi. Some of the military paymasters were there. Those were there to support subedar. Then this is all about the provinces divided, and their name was given subas. Then the subas were governed by subedars, and subedars were supported by military paymasters known as Baksi. Next, provinces had financial officer known as Diwan. Then in on those provinces, financial officers were also there present. They were known as Diwan. Ministers of religious and charitable patronage was known as Sadar. Means regarding religious affairs, the minister was there, and that minister was known as Sadar. Military commanders were Faujdars, and commanders there in military were known as Faujdars. Town police commander, in the towns the police commanders were present to maintain peace there. The commander was known as Kotwal. So these were the different people in administration of Akbar's court. As we talked about, subedars, who governed subas, then baksis who supported subedars, then financial officer known as diwan, then religious affairs minister known as sadar, military commander were known as faujdars, the police commander in town was known as kotwal. This is all about the administration system of the Akbar's court. Ibadat Khana. Now the next term Ibadat Khana, basically it is the name given to the place where the meetings were held by Akbar with different religious people. Akbar had a discussion with different people of different religions like ulema, Brahmin, Jesuit, Roman Catholics. Means different religious people he had there in discussions. And those discussions were held in Ibadat Khana. Means the place where these meetings were held, that place was known as Ibadat Khana. And in these interaction, he realized that the religious scholars who emphasized on rituals, on their own religious rituals, their teachings might create division and disharmony, because all from different religions, they had the faith in their own religion. So that created division and disharmony. And that idea, then this led Akbar to the idea of Sulh Kul, means universal peace, as he observed by discussion that the different religious people, they created division or disharmony. So what that idea led Akbar to the idea of Sulh Kul, means universal peace. And one more thing, Akbar also created one of the religion, that was Deen-e-Ilahi. It was not given there in the book, that Deen-e-Ilahi, one of the religion that was created by Akbar. And what he did there in that religion, he adopted the basic elements from all the religions, so that there could not be any discrimination. That's why he took the main, or you can say basic elements from different religions, and the main were from from Hinduism and Islam. So this was one of the religion there. Now, clear Ibadat Khana, the place where religious discussions were held, was known as Ibadat Khana. And with whom the religious discussions were held? Ulemas, Brahmins, Jesuit, Roman Catholics. So different religious people were present there in the discussions. Now, Mughals in 17th century. If we talk about the Mughals there in 17th century, as we talked about the Jagirdars, they were having Jagirs. We talked there in previous lecture that the number of Jagirdars that was increased and Jagirs were less. So they started collecting more revenue for their own purpose. And at that moment, definitely it affected the peasants who were paying. So what was there in 17th century? The Mughal Empire exercised a great deal of influence and power. Definitely they experienced the great influence there in 16th and 17th century in starting. But by the end of 17th century, the authority of Mughal Empire declined. The reason, one of the reason that at the time of Aurangzeb, he started expanded his empire there in the southern part, in Deccan part, as Akbar did. And he had the different battles with the Marathas. And Marathas were really very much expert in guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare, basically one of the technique of war, in which the soldiers, they do not attack from the front. They always attack by hiding themselves. That was one of the way of fighting the battles. So, and one more thing, that Shivaji, who wanted to accept Mughal Empire at that time, but Aurangzeb insulted him. Some of the other reason, like we talked about the Jagirdars also, that they started getting the more revenues, so the peasants, they were affected by that. This gave rise to many independent provinces like Hyderabad and Awadh. Means in that weak situation, different provinces they got time to rise as independent provinces like Hyderabad and Awadh. So this was all about, and the reason, if we talk about the economic, as we talked about Jagir Das. So the economic condition was the peasant, those who were poor, that became poorer. The one of the criteria, if you see that, the main reason was economic differences basically. Economic differences, how? At the time of Shah Jahan and then Aurangzeb, 445 Mansabdars, which were just 6.5% but had 61.5% of total revenue. Means they were just less number of Mansabdars. They were just 5.6%, sorry. They were 5.6% of total number of Mansabdars, but receiving 61.5% of total revenue. So the rise there, the differences, the economic differences, they rose at that time. This was the main reason for decline. The Mughal Empire there in the 17th century, and different provinces they got chance to rise themselves as independent provinces. Like example, Hyderabad and Awadh. Now, as in every chapter, we talk about little bit about the worldwide situation also. If we talk about the contemporaries of Akbar, means what was going on, what were the main rulers in other parts of the world. Russian ruler at the time of Akbar, they are in Russia. Russian ruler Tsar Ivan or Ivan the Terrible. Tsar was the ruler there in Russia, and he was known as Ivan the Terrible because the people were really afraid of him because of his harsh rules there in Russia. Then the another example, Ottoman Turkey, Sultan Suleiman. These were the another examples during the time period of 1520 to 1566, or Ottoman state that expanded there in Europe, Hungary, Austria. So this is all about Ottoman states, Ottoman Turkey. Then Safavid, ruler in Iraq, about whom we have already discussed there at the time of Babur. So these were some of the worldwide rulers. Those were at the time of Akbar. So we have completed the topics there from this chapter, but we will take the summary lecture in which we will take all these topics again. For your better understanding, you must see the video of that summary lecture. Any of the content, if it is there, maybe more things you will be getting there. Don't forget to watch the videos of any of the part of the chapter. So now it's turn for some of the exercise questions. Match the following. Two of the columns they are in exercise, it is given. You can do it in your book itself. Answer Mansab, that is one of the rank. We talked that Mansabdars or Jagirdars, they were getting ranks, salaries according to the grading system. The more ranks, more salaries. Mongol, Uzbeks. Sisodiya Rajputs, they were in Mewar. Rathor Rajput in Marwar. These the places Sisodiyas were there in Mewar. Rathor were there in Marwar. Noor Jahan, she was wife of Jahangir. That we will discuss in the summary lecture again. Subedar, governor. As we talked, he governed their subas. Subas were the provinces. Next is fill in the blanks. The capital of Mirza Hakim, Akbar's half brother, was Kabul. The answers are already given there. The five Deccan Sultanate were Brar, Khandesh, Ahmednagar, they are in Maharashtra, Bijapur, Golconda. If Jat determined a Mansabdar's rank and salary, Savar indicated his number of horses maintained. These Mansabdars, they were having the different, the number of horses with them, even they were living there, in the palaces. So if Jat determined Mansabdar's rank, then number of horses, the Savar indicated the number of horses maintained by them. Abul Fazl, Akbar's friend and counselor, helped him frame the idea of administration so that he could govern a society composed of many religions, cultures, and castes. These were the questions given in exercise. So you please do these, they are in the book itself. Now it's turn for homework. The question number 1. Write a short note on Babur's administration. Very important. Akbar's administration. Write a short note on Akbar's administration. Here in this chapter, if you remember, in first lecture we talked about the 3 periods of Akbar reign also. That was also important, that we will discuss in assignment also. Then second is, how were the debates with the religious scholars important in the formation of Akbar's idea on governance? Then third, with whom did Akbar hold discussions on religion? So these questions, only 3 I have given. But firstly, if you don't know the answer, write there in the rough. But after writing rough, then also you have to mail it so that we can mark your attendance. Now it's turn for homework solution of lecture number 2. Question 1 was, what were the central provinces under the control of Mughals? Delhi, Agra, Mathura, Amber, Ajmer, Fatehpur Sikri, Chittor, Ranthambore. These were the central provinces of Mughals. What was the relationship between the Mansabdars and the Jagirs? Mansabdars got their salaries as revenue assignment and they were known as Jagirs. The relation between Mansabdars and Jagirs. Most Mansabdars did not live in those Jagirs. They were not living there in those Jagirs in those particular areas, but they had right to the revenue of their assignment. Whatever the assignment or Jagirs they were having, they had right to get revenue. But that was collected by their servant. And these Mansabdars themselves served there in some other parts. As we talked that Mansabdars, they were the local people, those were having the powers and they were living there in palaces. So this was all about the Mansabdars and their relation with Jagirs. What was the role of the Jamindar in Mughal administration? Jamindar were powerful local chieftains appointed by the Mughal rulers. These were local chieftains and these Mansabdars, basically they were the different people like Muslims or different people, Marathas, Rajputs, those accepted the Mughal authority. They were these. Here Jamindars, they were local chieftains appointed by the Mughal rulers. they collected taxes from peasants. So they were playing role in intermediaries. I mean, they were intermediators between the ruler and the peasants as they were collecting the taxes from peasants. So this is all about today's lecture. I hope that you have understood all these things. Thank you and have a nice day.